Welcome to the final video. Today we assemble all the pieces, so stay on to see the final little details and watch as it transforms into a complete diorama. I'm going to mount the pavilion on a cantilevered support structure with 45-degree braces, so here I'm cutting and pre-painting the timbers to make it. I mixed some extra paint, so I added more black, diluted it and used it to stain the roof shingles while the support timbers dry. Now I make the structure that will hold the pavilion suspended over the edge of the cliff. I've decided to mount it this way because it makes the whole composition feel more dramatic and alive when both the building and the tree overhangs the base. It also makes the tiny landscape appear bigger than it is. After I've made the floor beams, I make a tiny plywood board from 2 leftover strips of wood shavings I used for the roof. This is to make stable floorboards for the little porch to the Sadoguchi or host entrance. Then it's time to mount the pavilion on the base. I mix up 50-50 filler and glue with dark brown paint and apply it to both the base and the pavilion. This will form a very strong bond, but it dries slowly, so I temporarily fix the pavilion in place with a bit of super glue as well. The next little job is to make a set of stairs to access the porch from the cliff. When the stringers are in place, I use the same homemade plywood to make the threads. If you're enjoying this so far, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and thank you for staying on. Once the pavilion is firmly fixed to the base, I start to add diagonal knee braces. These support the cantilevered beams and bring the vertical load into the rock. Now it's time for the most delicate part of the entire build. I make the railing for the porch so our fictional micro geishas don't fall off and hurt themselves. I messed up the filming a bit and didn't get a close-up of the finished railing, but it will be properly revealed near the end of the video. With the pavilion in place and completed, I move on to the garden. I'm not entirely sure what to place in it, so I start by carefully selecting small flat pebbles to form a stone path. Then I try out a couple of rock configurations before I decide to make a tiny bonsai tree to fit in the garden. I follow the same basic steps on the small tree just like the big ones. Wireframe, lichen, filler and paint before I add the foliage. While I make the tree, I also decide to make a small bush to fill a little gap in the garden wall. For this I use another type of common lichen called Cladonia stellaris. I mess about a little with the tree, bush and rocks before I settle on a large rounded slab that I then mount the tree on top of. Once I'm happy with the composition, I take everything off, cover the garden in glue and add finely sifted sand. Then I carefully set the slab and bonsai tree before I add some very fine green sawdust around the roots to simulate moss. Now I can lay the stone path and start on the first weathering wash on the pavilion. Once this is done, I can start to think about the rest of the greenery, but first I have to make a nice wooden frame to complete the model. This serves two purposes. One is aesthetic. It completes the model and makes it a standalone display piece. The other reason is a bit more mundane. The frame provides a safe way to handle the piece once it's complete. While the glue sets, I add a few extra branches to the little bonsai tree as it looked a little naked. With the little tree done, I want to make some ivy. for this I use another common lichen called witch's hair or Alectoria sarmentosa. First I soak it in diluted paint, then while it dries I start adding the bottom layer of ground cover in the area where I want the ivy. Next I carefully arrange the now almost dry lichen before I spray it with varnish and dip it in fine sawdust off camera. Now we are almost done and it's time to reattach the tree to the model. This is one of those moments that really make a difference. I follow the same procedure as with the pavilion. I use a little super glue to attach it, then I mix glue and filler with paint to set it permanently in place. Then I sprinkle the wet mix with a base layer of sawdust to make the ground cover. At this point the model is getting a little difficult to hold without breaking anything, so I return to finishing the frame. I've removed it from the jig, so I clean my desk and finish it with 400 grit before I give it 2 coats of matte varnish. I test fit the model in the frame, then I mask it properly and glue it in place. After the glue has set, I paint the edges black so the white doesn't shine through. While this dries, I mask the frame again, apply glue and start sprinkling on more ground cover in various shades. While it is still wet, I remove the masking tape and clean up the edges with a spatula and more ground cover. I touch up the ground cover with a yellow wash and then it's time to add the finishing little details. I make a very diluted wash of glue with some color in it, apply a thin layer, then I sprinkle on some pink sawdust to simulate fallen cherry blossoms. The final step is to add some white and yellow wildflowers. And there we go. 3 weeks of work done. If you'd like to watch the next miniature come to life, hit subscribe. I start a brand new build in the next video. Thank you for watching.